Today on the No City on the Sideline Dad podcast, episode number 41, what are the 7 keys to live a happy, healthy, and whole life? My conversation with Dr. Phil Carson from carsonnatural.com and the author of the book, How to Live Until You Die, the 7 keys to living happy, healthy, and whole. Next in the podcast. Let's do this.
Welcome to the No Sitting on the Sideline Dad podcast, a podcast about a journey of discovery and conversations about not sitting on the sideline of life. Let's get involved. Here's host Joe Foley.
Welcome to the podcast. Hey, my name is Joe, and I'm a dad. I really want to say thank you for being here. I know as a dad and a parent, our time's limited, so you being here, it means a lot. And thank you for listening. And this is your first time, welcome. This is a podcast having a conversation about being a dad. Initial topics related to being a dad, a parent, a mom, and a contributing adult in the society, doing the adult thing. Let's get involved, no more sitting on the sideline. This will be a weekly podcast dedicating to have a sense of community. What I mean is, I want to talk to you, have a conversation. You can leave a comment in the show notes, start the conversation there, or we can start the conversation in the Facebook group, or just send me an email. You can find all my contact information at nosittingonthesideline.com/contact. You can find all my social media links, emails, and stuff like that. There'll be interview topics about being a dad and a good parent, or trying to find answers for stuff we don't know about, like digital parenting. Because, right now, our kids are living with the digital age with all kinds of like iPhones and iPads and stuff like that. Mindfulness, dealing with stress, challenges with blended families, divorce. We're all going through some kind of issues. I love being a dad, a parent. I know this stuff's not easy. And being a parent can be kind of fun sometimes too. It doesn't always have to be difficult. I'm not an expert. I'm just a dad on a journey, just like you. Try and take one day at a time in this crazy world. Also, I need to know if you do me a favor. I was wondering if you have a second, please. Can you head out to Apple Podcasts and subscribe to the podcast? Leave a rating review. I would appreciate it. Help me know what you think, what I'm doing here, and let me know you're out there, because sometimes I feel like I'm talking to myself. Wait a minute, I am right now. Or actually, I'm talking to you. Next up, my conversation with Dr. Phil Carson. We talk about his book, How to Live Until You Die, the 7 keys to live happy, healthy, and whole. Dr. Carson's passionate about natural health, and also he's a dad of 5 children and married to his beautiful wife, Kim. Dr. Phil has also been a practicing pharmacist since 1985, and also he's the co-founder of the Life Transformation Medical Center. His website, a lot of good, useful information to live a happy and healthy. One of his blog and stuff, it talks about dealing with stress, how to eat healthy, talk about some interesting issues and stuff that be very useful. In this episode, we talk about being a dad and a husband, natural health, what is holistic medicine, because I was curious about that, drinking plenty of water. You'd be surprised. Just drinking more water and be more hydrated, how many problems it actually does solve. How important does sleep play in our lives? Dealing with stress. You know that we deal with stress as parents every day. So I found a lot of good information, and Dr. Carson shares a lot of things with us. So jump right into the interview. Today in the podcast, my guest, Dr. Phil Carson, author of the book, How to Live Until You Die, the 7 keys to living happy and healthy and whole. Also a dad and a fellow podcaster. Dr. Phil, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much, Joe. It's an honor to be on your show today with you. I really appreciate you having me.
Dr. Phil, I guess when we talked a little bit before, and you had 5 kids, so the time we're recording this is right around the Halloween season. Do you have any memorable moments of Halloween with your 5 kids?
Yeah, I do. I've got a great picture of my oldest daughter that I like to show people that what happens to a child when they have too much sugar. And it's a picture of her looking perfectly normal in her little costume before she gets loaded up with sugar, and then what she looks like afterwards. It's a pretty good contrast there.
I bet that having 5 kids, there's probably a lot of wheeling and dealing going on after trick-or-treating and candy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I tried to limit them as much as possible, and especially when they got a little bit older. I said, is this a little too much sugar here? We need to slow down on this.
A little bit. I'm wondering too. I know that you're a pharmacist. I was wondering what your background, tell a little about yourself.
Yeah. Well, I'm traditionally trained as a pharmacist, practiced pharmacy for a lot of years. And I guess it was probably right out of pharmacy school. I went to work for a big chain company. And I thought pharmacy school was stressful, but I learned what stress was all about when I went to work for this company. And a year after I had been with them, they made me manager of the store. And that's when the stress really began. It was very, very tough, and the stress was literally killing me. And I was taking all kinds of medications, trying to relieve the effects of the gastritis, severe gastritis, heartburn, indigestion I was experiencing from the stress and from the poor eating habits of having to eat on the run all the time, not being able to stop and enjoy a good lunch, and just eating fast foods. I gained a lot of weight. Was having severe gastritis attacks, sleeping in a recliner most nights, and it was tough. And the drugs were, giving me some temporary relief, but that was it. So I started searching for an answer. I said, I can't keep living like this. I was at a bookstore one day and I picked up a book on natural medicine because in pharmacy school, I was taught the history of natural medicine, not the application of it. So I started thumbing through this book and I found a chapter on digestive health. So I bought it, took it home, started reading and applying what this doctor had recommended, and it totally changed my life. It helped me get past all of the issues I was dealing with, and basically provided me with an answer to what was going on and why I was suffering. So it was not just the stress. It was other problems as well, one of which was low stomach acid. I was taking things to block my stomach acid, which was the opposite of what I should have been doing. And I have found since then, Joe, that there are numerous patients that are just like me that I've encountered over the years that were having the same issues, same type of problem, taking antacid drugs when they should have been supplementing with some type of natural acid building product. Because I had a medical condition called hypochlorhydria, which is low stomach acid. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the main contributing factors to my issues. But thankfully, I learned what was wrong. I corrected it by natural means. That intrigued me. I wanted to learn more about natural medicine, so I started studying it. Started taking courses in natural medicine. Started getting certifications in all kinds of natural medicine, natural therapies, and started applying what I was learning and sharing it with my patients in the pharmacy. Saw amazing results with a lot of them, and it just kept growing and evolving from there. And today, I am in a clinical setting and work in a clinic. I co-founded a clinic with a doctor friend of mine a year and a half ago that we call the Life Transformation Medical Center, and we use traditional as well as holistic natural therapies to help the patients here in this area and
I was curious,
all over the world, actually.
I was curious, what is holistic medicine anyways? What is the basis of that?
Yeah, well, holistic encompasses a variety of different types of therapies. You're not using what we call one particular modality like allopathic medicine or homeopathic medicine, and you've got osteopathic medicine. There's a variety of different types of medicine out there. Chiropractic. There's so many different varieties of medical practices out there, and holistic encompasses many. And uses more than one modality to help treat a person. Some person may need a particular medication that would be prescribed through traditional allopathic medication, but you could also prescribe them some type of natural therapy that would help them tremendously as well. And so we don't just have our vision set on one thing. we look at the whole picture, and that's included with the patient. We're not zeroing in on one particular thing. We're doing investigative work. It's more of what you call functional medicine that we do. And functional medicine is a type of medicine where you do the investigative work, try to find out the underlying cause of the problem. And that's what I've been doing for the past several years in the regard of holistic natural therapies, and helping people determine what their underlying cause is and trying to help them find a solution for that, whether it be natural or whether it be traditional medicine.
But it's interesting. How did you apply that at home too? I mean, you have 5 kids. I know everybody tells me I should give my son and I should be taking a multivitamin. How do you apply that stuff at home?
Oh yeah. Well, I've always applied it to my own children, my own life. And my kids grew up, the older set. I've got 2 sets basically. I had 2 boys first, and then 7 years later we started having girls, and we had 3 girls. And we had planned for 1, but we ended up with 3. So, but they're all a blessing, and wouldn't trade it for anything. But anyway, my older 2 boys, because I didn't know a lot of the things that I know now, or that I knew once my girls came along, they had antibiotics. My girls have never had antibiotics. We've always been able to treat them holistically and naturally when they've gotten sick, and they rarely ever get sick. But I'm a big believer in keeping the immune system strong and healthy. So, using vitamins, using, natural foods, all the good things that a person should be doing and eating to help keep the immune system strong and healthy is basically what we've done at home, and how I've applied things that I've learned at home. And it's served us extremely well.
Interesting. One thing I was also interested with your book. I was really interested in your book, the seven keys. How to live until you die. The 7 keys to learning happy and healthy and whole. I love the title actually. What are the 7 keys?
Yeah. Well, there are 7 things that I believe are essential for us if we really want to live until we die. And there's so many people out there that are just existing; they're not truly living. And I'm a big believer in living life to its fullest, and experiencing and enjoying life as much as you possibly can. And if we're going to do that, then we've got to take care of ourselves, and we've got to be proactive about our health. And these 7 keys help us do that in every aspect of our being, body, soul, and spirit. Because I believe that all 3 work together to give us a complete, healthy being. And it's something that I've applied to my own life for quite a few years, and I began teaching it to others. And so those 7 keys, you start with nutrition. We start with the body first, actually, and we give 7 basic, simple things that a person can apply very easily in their lives to get that total holistic health that they're looking for. But nutrition is the beginning. You have to start with nutrition. We have to have food. We have to eat. And the quality of foods that we put in our bodies is extremely important. And then exercise is the next. And I don't guess I mentioned this, but I use an acronym, the acronym of NEWS, NEWS. But I add 3 extra S's on there to make it a total of 7 letters there. But nutrition is the N, exercise is the E. We've got to be more physically active. So many people are too sedentary, and the combination of nutrition and exercise can do wonders for keeping us healthy and fit. And then we can't survive without water. We can live without food for a long time, but we can't live very long without water. So water is essential for our health, good, pure, clean water. And then the next in the acronym is the first S, which is sleep. We won't survive long without sleep either. Our bodies have to have sleep. We have to have rest. And that's a major issue and a major problem with a lot of people today. They're sleep deprived, and for various reasons. But got to have the sleep. The next S is for supplements. If we don't get the nutrients we need from the foods we're eating, or if we have a particular deficiency for some reason, maybe because of stress in our lives, or maybe because we're not sleeping enough, and we become deficient in certain nutrients, then we need good quality supplements. And so talk about that in the book. And then the next S is the soul. I believe we have a body, soul, and a spirit. Our soul is important. The health of our soul is extremely important. And what I talk about in the book, and I've learned over the years that a lot of people that I've dealt with and I've helped and been patients of mine, one of the underlying root causes of their physical sickness is their soul sickness. They've been wounded emotionally. They've been hurt in some way, and they haven't dealt with it properly, and it's causing them to be physically sick. And then the last one is the spirit, our spirit being, our spirit man. And we have to feed our spirit man. I believe in prayer and meditation is a great way to do that, and helping keep the spirit strong and healthy as that other part of our being. And when you put all three together and you do the things necessary to have optimal health, and keeping all three parts strong and healthy, you're going to live a much happier, whole, and healthy life.
What is one thing? It's one of the two things you talked about is interesting to me. One is water. How much somebody should drink? Like, they say half your body weight, or like 8 glasses of water. What is the average number that somebody should drink?
Yeah, well, half your body weight in ounces a day is generally what's recommended for most people. And if you're drinking that amount of water, that should be a sufficient amount for you.
It's funny because a lot of people now, it's a big thing to carry water bottles around, and also sleep. It's funny how we all, and I'm as guilty as anybody else, being a dad and stuff like that too, going to bed late and getting up extremely early. And how does somebody get a better night's sleep?
Well, there are all kinds of things that we can do, simple little things, and I'll talk about this in the book. One of the best ways to get a better night's sleep is to make sure that you have a good sleep environment, and that your bedroom is a good environment to sleep in for you. You make it, in other words, you make it comfortable for you. Comfortable bed, correct room temperature. If you need some type of noise going on, fan blowing, light music, whatever it takes to make that environment conducive for you to be able to sleep. And so that's extremely, extremely important that we do that. And getting a good night's sleep is different for different people. Some people can get by with 7 hours of sleep. Some people require 9 hours of sleep, but that's what's usually recommended, somewhere between 7 and 9 for most adult people. And I strive to get 7, don't often do that. But I live an extremely busy life, and that's one of the things, Joe, that's always been a major problem with me as far as my health. I do extremely well on everything else, but I fall down on sleeping sometimes because I'm a driven type A person, and I wish I didn't have to sleep. There's so many things I want to do. I wish I didn't have to, but I realize and I know that my body has to have it. that I've got to have that rest. If I'm going to do the things I really want to do, I've got to rest. So, and so many people are like me, and I was really bad in my earlier years. I would try to get by on 4 hours of sleep, and yeah, and I paid for it, but because it does create health problems if you don't get the proper sleep that you need. So I recommend the people that if you have an aversion to sleep like I do, get some help. Talk to somebody, get a coach, get somebody to help you start getting that sleep that you need.
Another thing, some transition, I guess. You have a podcast, the Feeling Good podcast. What is that about?
Yeah, well, Feeling Good podcast. I take people's questions. Is primarily I interview every once in a while, but the show is primarily taking listeners' questions, patients' questions that ask me questions all the time about particular health issues, and I address those on the podcast and talk about them. Talk about some natural solutions that people are looking for, because that's usually the questions I get. What can I do naturally? I don't want to take a medication. I don't want to take this drug. What can I do? Is there a supplement I can take? Is there some type of therapy I can do? Is there something so I don't have to take that drug? And it sounds crazy to a lot of people as a pharmacist telling people not to take drugs, but I've seen a lot of harm and a lot of danger come to people with medications, and there's more and more people that are realizing, hey, there are other solutions out there. I don't have to have this drug, and and I've got a saying in a talk that I do that basically says we don't need another drug. Drugs are being pushed on us all the time, and it's an epidemic in our country with narcotics right now. Especially in the Deep South where I live here, it's really, really a bad problem. They're actually holding town meetings all over our state every other week or so, bringing people together in these town hall meetings to discuss this problem of narcotic use, prescription narcotic use. And we're talking about street drugs. We're talking about the prescribed medications and how bad it's gotten. And it's not just here; it's in other parts of the country as well. But it's too easy for a person, or has been too easy for a person to get a prescription narcotic, and it's something that is a major problem, and I'm glad to see that it's being addressed.
I know of the state of New Hampshire. I know that we have an opiate problem, opiate addiction problem. It's been it's raised the level of a really serious epidemic, and overdoses are like crazy up here. And
Mm-hmm.
and I can see that the problem, and it probably stems from other things too. But it's a serious problem. It's a serious problem up here.
Yeah, it is all over the country actually.
It's interesting too, is you mentioned about medication, about pushing a medication. And I'm not making fun of people's symptoms and all. I mean, for depression or this or that. Well, this can help you, but this has like 17 different side effects. Like you can have a heart attack. You could have an aneurysm. I'm like, well, then why the heck do I want to take that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's the thing is that we live in a society where everybody wants a quick fix. We live in a microwave society, a drive-through society where we got to have it now, and we don't want to wait. We don't want to do what's necessary to correct the underlying problem. Sometimes, let's just fix it now. And a medication doesn't really fix the problem now, but it gives you some relief, and so. That's what people, are too quick to jump toward is that quick relief, and a lot of people don't want to do the necessary things, making the lifestyle changes that are necessary to correct a health issue. And that's what I talk a lot about in my book, is that we've got to make these lifestyle changes, and they're not as hard as some people think they are. And that's what changed my life several years ago, was making lifestyle changes. I got out of the stressful job I was in, got into a less stressful job. I started eating better. I started slowing down a little bit. I made lifestyle changes, along with correcting the underlying problem of my low stomach acid. So it wasn't just one thing; it was a combination of things, and that's basically what we talk about with holistic medicine, is that we're using multiple therapies and multiple things to help a person get healthy.
I was wondering too. Another thing I was interested in we talk about is carsonsnatural.com, your website, and what services, what kind of things you offer there.
Yeah. Well, this is a website, online coaching consulting company that I had started several years ago, and several years before I co-founded the clinic here with my doctor friend. But I coach people, consult with people online. I've got people all over the country that I work with, and also provide a lot of free information there, as well as some of my favorite supplements that I recommend to people. I have an online store, so that my clients can go there and purchase the supplements that they need, and it's a site that I love, posting all my stuff on, blogs, and also my Feeling Good podcast. I do a Facebook Live broadcast every Friday during the noonday hour Central Time. We post that there, and we call it Feeling Good Fridays. And it's just a short little live broadcast that I do, talking about some particular health issue or health problem, and every Friday. And so a lot of great resources there for people that are looking for a natural or holistic solution to their health issues.
I guess wrapping up, final thoughts, give me parting advice for anybody who's looking maybe to change the health, maybe help do the holistic medicine, maybe supplements, or maybe even get better sleep or water.
Oh yeah. Well, one of the number one things is water. Most everybody that comes into my office sits down across the desk. One of the questions I'm going to ask them is, how much water are you drinking? Because they've got some kind of health problem. The lack of water or dehydration could be one of the underlying causes, and because we don't hydrate properly, we don't drink enough water, it does cause a lot of health problems. So if a person wanted to do one simple thing that could possibly change their life and change their health, that would be to drink good quality water. Spring water is what I recommend. If you're going to drink bottled water, always get the natural spring water. If you got a filtering system in your home, that's wonderful to filter out the chemicals, but by all means, don't drink the tap water, and don't drink the bottled purified water. But simply drinking water sometimes can make all the difference in the world. I tell a story in my book about a particular person that was having chronic back pain, started drinking water because he was going to be going to the mountains and taking a trip up to the mountains. And, he was told that he needed to get better hydrated and drink plenty of water while in the mountains. So he started doing that and did that while he was there, came home with no back pain. Oh, wow. And because, he's having the back pain because he was not properly hydrated, and it was weakening the vertebrae, the cartilage. So simple little thing like that, you don't think about something like that changing a person's life, but it can.
It's amazing. The human body is amazing. Sometimes,
oh yeah,
it's it's something so simple. It can help you out so much.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If anybody wants to get in touch with you, any contact information where they can get a hold of you?
They go to my website, carsonnatural.com, and all of my information is there. And emails, contacts, everything is there. And carsonnatural.com.
Thank you, Dr. Phil Carson. Thanks for being on the podcast today. All the show notes and links and everything, I'll be in the show notes, all the links. I really do appreciate you being on the podcast. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. I really appreciate you having me.
Well, that's all I have with this episode. I want to say thank you for joining me in the No Sitting on the Sideline Dad podcast. And I want to say thanks to Dr. Carson for being a guest on the podcast. Head on over to carsonnatural.com to find out more about Dr. Carson and all the stuff he has to offer over there. You can also find all the links and show notes for this episode at nosittingonthesideline.com/41. Also, please comment on the podcast. All comments help improve the podcast. You can find all my contact information at nosittingonthesideline.com/contact. I want to wish you and your family a very happy new year and prosperous 2018. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this podcast this year, and I really do appreciate it. Also, if you have a moment and you want to find out more what's coming up in the podcast, check what's going on. Please sign up for the email newsletter. Please head on over to nosittingonthesideline.com/email newsletter. Next up, my conversation with Dan Moyle, who's a dad and a husband. We talk about the challenges that they're going through a divorce and coming out the other side, and also the challenges of blended families, the good and the bad. Wrapping up, I want to say thank you for your time. Until next time, have fun, get involved with your children, give them a hug, and let them know you appreciate them, and enjoy the ride. God bless. Take care. See ya.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. Please subscribe to the newsletter to receive updates of the show and helpful and useful tips. This has been a production of Foley 42 Media.